More and more research is being done to find alternatives to chemotherapy for cancer, besides herbs like artemisinin and methylgesminate. Well, a new study just came out showing that lithocholic acid, which is produced by the liver, can actually kill cancer cells selectively, leaving alone the healthy cells.
Yeah, it sounds beautiful, doesn't it? You think,
Yeah.
all right, we finally got it. That's a little more complicated than that, in part because we're doing early studies, some in tissue culture and some in mice, but not people, and there's a big difference there. We know that lithocholic acid can cause some problems too, because what is it? It's a bile salt. What does that mean? It's something that's made by the liver that passes into the gallbladder that's used in digestion to try and help us digest fats. And there are two that are made in the liver, and lithocholic acid isn't one of them actually. The primary bile acids are made in the liver, but then they go into the digestive tract where they're activated by certain kinds of bacteria, the normal microflora of the gut, and that transforms one of them into lithocholic acid, which is absorbed, and then we have lithocholic acid in our body. So you might think, well, if we got lithocholic acid in our body, why do we get cancer? Because it prevents it, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's all
especially liver cancer.
Yeah, right. So it's related to dosage again. And lithocholic acid isn't just an innocent, beautiful little thing, because if we take too much of it, we get cirrhosis. Okay? And it's a tumor promoter, which means if you have cancer someplace, it's apt to make it go a little bit faster. So it's kind of ironic.
If you have too much of it, you mean?
Well, yeah, or maybe if you just have we don't know how much it takes.
Because this study also said that it could prevent metastases.
I saw the look on your face as I said that. You're going, well, can it be both? And when you have research that's done, Vicki, what happens is you get a result that might depend on what the researcher's trying to prove. And so there's always bias that comes from that. So when this article came out that said cancer breakthrough, lithocholic acid is, something that's naturally made in the body that can cure cancer, yet comes at a little bit of a price. But it may be worth it.
Well, it might be less toxic than chemotherapy.
Oh, it would be less toxic than most chemotherapies. And if it's done in a way that's careful, you might not get into trouble at all. I mean, if you use something that the body makes and use it in slightly larger amounts than you might normally, it might make the difference of whether or not this can be done safely or not.
I'm wondering if this would be a good level to check on people. Can you check the level of lithocholic acid?
You probably can, but it's not a mainstream test. In fact, this whole thing is a research project, and we haven't even gotten past the study in mice. Now, if I had a patient who had advanced cancer, and we tried all the things we knew how, and they were still going downhill, would I consider the possibility of lithocholic acid? Sure. Yeah, I would consider that as something that would make sense. Just as I would think that something like methylgesminate, okay? Both of them work by making mitochondria that are in the cancer ruin the cancer cell, because if you don't have mitochondria, your cancer can't survive. And cancer cells have 4 or 5 times more activity. They make more ATP than normal cells do. So when you take out their mitochondria, you take them out too. So it's another way.
Yeah, I'm wondering too, is if you have a deficiency of the lithocholic acid, if that would make you more likely to get cancer.
Well, who knows? I mean, all these studies need to be done. What I find interesting is what would happen if you use methylgesminate and lithocholic acid.
And artemisinin.
Well, yeah, sure. And IV vitamin C and the Hoxie protocols are some of the other things that are done. These are things that haven't been done. And they should be looked into in research projects, because what we have now is a chemotherapy industry that hasn't done a lot to extend life for most solid cancers. You look at the leukemias and lymphomas and Hodgkin's and testicular cancers, absolutely use the mainstream treatments because we know they work. But if you're talking about other kinds of cancers like pancreatic or kidney or lung, we haven't solved that.